the policy subcommittee for October 30th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Member Dugan?
Present.
Member Reed?
Present.
Member Satterwhite?
Present.
All right, so first on the agenda tonight is a new policy that's being proposed, policy IHAIA, and it's the middle school pathway exploration policy. So I believe Attorney Gallo, are you, and yes, and Dr. Gardner, you guys are gonna walk us through this one, so. Welcome, thank you for coming tonight.
So, good evening, Subcommittee Chairperson Dugan, Subcommittee members Satterwhite and Reed, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Chair, members of the school committee as a whole, Superintendent Cohen, and members of the administration. For the record, Lynn Public Schools Compliance Officer Charlie Gallo. We have 4 items for policy sub tonight, and Dr. Shannon Gardner, the Executive Director of Innovation and Grants Management, is here with me for the first of those 4. So the first of those 4 is a DESE required policy for middle school pathway exploration. I want to mention that this group of 4 policies tonight is the final round of a number of policies that we have planned out starting back in June with Chairperson Dugan. And so I thank Chairperson Dugan for his partnership over those number of months, and it has been a busy time, and this would, yes, so. Yes. So without further ado, this is the middle school pathway exploration policy. This is a notice that came out from DESE on September 22nd, and it said, here's a list of districts that are required to have a middle school pathway exploration policy, and you're required to have that by November 1st, and Lynn was on the list because we have LVTI. Now, LVTI, as you know, is a real treasure for Lynn. We have a Voc Tech school with CTE programs open to our Lynn residents. And so this sounds like we're moving at a fast clip, and we are. But actually for Lynn, unlike some other districts, we're not starting from scratch so much as codifying policies that typically exist anyway at the middle school in Lynn, with one exception, and that is the new provision, which is DESE required for tours of LVTI during the day by middle school students. And that's a DESE requirement that's not going to be easy, but I'll submit to you it's a really good thing and an equitable thing. You know, after hours can be tough for families. Families are busy. At the middle school level, kids are working. I know I was working by 8th grade. I know others at the table were as well. And so we'll share some slides to take you through how this policy will work. First, thanking the team that worked together on it. Superintendent Cohen, Fred Gallo, Donna Doucette, Marissa Angeli from Innovation and Grants, Lauren Walsh, my colleague in compliance, and then at the end added on 2 guidance counselors, Joanna Smith from LVTI and John Gore from a middle school lens. This is the regulation that was approved by BSEE over the summer, and just wanted you to have that for your records. And I'm going to break it down for you. I also wanted you to have for your records a link to DESE's guidance on this policy. And rather than go through that guidance, you know, it's about 5 pages long, or through that regulation in great detail, I wanted to just bullet the elements of the policy for you. And that is, what are the CTE options that exist? How will the middle schools collaborate with the CTE school to inform middle school students of those options? And how will the middle school provide tours during regular middle school hours? And here in Lynn, with a focus on opportunity and equity and access, we're going to do it without charge to the students during the school day, and it's not going to be counted as an absence. There are some record-keeping provisions and some provisions around MyCap that Dr. Gardner will share with you. DESE put out a model policy which helped us prepare this, and MAVA, which is the Mass Association of Vocational Administrators, put out a model policy as well that Fred Gallo shared with the team. And here's what we did. Superintendent Cohen, Principal Gallo, and the members mentioned from compliance and innovation got together, reviewed thoroughly the regulations, the guidances, the model policies. Dr. Gardner and I then broke off into a smaller group and attended a DESE technical assistance webinar. We did some drafting on our own before bringing it back to the full team, adding at that time guidance counselors Smith and Gore Tonight, we are presenting, and Dr. Gardner will go through that draft policy. If you approve of it, it will be submitted tomorrow to DESE through the CHAMP system. And those are the timeline and processes and steps. You have a copy of the proposed policy as a standalone document in your packet. It's also, though, within this PowerPoint, and I'm going to hand over to Dr. Gardner to go through it. If there are any questions, I'm happy to pause for that as well.
Okay, Charlie really did cover the main points of this policy, but just to review quickly again, the reason for the overview provides the reason that we want to extend more communication and make sure everyone is well informed about their choice to attend LVTI. The policy gives the pathway options of the 19 programs available to students. There's a middle school career exploration component, and that's where the MyCap comes in. It's a structured process that helps students explore their interests, skills, and values starting in middle school. And at some point, there is also a high school choices lesson that has already happened this year so that students could learn about all of the high schools that are available to them. And part of this policy is that all middle schools within LPS will actively collaborate with LVTI to inform students about the CTE vocational opportunities available to them. And that's through awareness raising that will provide students with information about career technical education programs and careers on site at their middle schools, which we do through the MyCap, through mail and email, through inclusion on LPS websites by October 15th of each school year. So all of our websites were updated to match this timeline. On-campus assemblies, all middle school students will have the opportunity to attend assemblies on campus at their middle schools hosted by LVTI. These events will provide students with information about CTE programs and the application process. So at middle schools over the last few weeks, LVTI, Frederick Douglass, and CASA have all had information sharing events at the schools. And then again, as Charlie said, school tours will be provided and information sharing. This is just about sharing, middle school sharing information of names and addresses and email addresses of all enrolled in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. Okay. Maintenance of records. Middle schools will maintain a record of all on-site presentations, assemblies, and student tours pursuant to this policy so that we can be prepared to show that we're implementing this policy. And then we attach the MyCap scope and sequence so you can get a sense of what students are learning in their career and academic plans. They have those about twice a month, and it goes through a whole just interesting sequence to help them learn about the options available to them and learn about what they are interested in and what they want to do.
And so that's our presentation for this proposed new policy, which is DESE required, but happy to answer any questions that there might be on it, and thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you for the presentations. Any questions? Questions? Yeah, Member Castellanos.
I think just earlier in the presentation, the tours, could you kind of talk about what that's going to look like? How does that, how's it going to get baked into the day, time-wise? Like, I don't know what,
So,
maybe visually, can you just walk me through that?
yep, so it's required that all students at the middle school level by the state regs now have an opportunity to tour. So that what this would look like would be an advanced sign-up, a time to tour during the school day probably once during your middle school career during the school day. And for students who start out at a middle school in Lynn, probably going to be a 6th or 7th grade, because by the time you get to 8th grade, it may be a bit late for that. So we're going to try to do that early. There's an opportunity potentially we'll seek grant funding to cover those costs, but the ultimate thing in terms of equity is that no matter what, not a cost to the student, not an absence for the student. This is about exposing every student who wants to be exposed or interested in exploring, as the name would have it, during their regular school day, CTE and Voc Tech programs.
And transportation, we would range it like a field trip.
Exactly
Similar,
right.
like that's
Through our vendor, exactly
Okay.
right. Official bus, all of that.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Castellanos.
All right, seeing none, I need a motion.
Make a motion to move proposed new policy IHAIA to the committee of the whole, full committee.
Second. Roll call, please.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Reed?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So that's one down. All right, the second one is the proposed IHBGR homeschooling, so we're removing a part of that. That's the proposal. So again, Attorney Gallo is gonna talk us through that one.
Thank you. So this is a cleanup matter, starting with Mayor Nicholson, when you, Mayor, were chairperson of the policy subcommittee, and then continuing through Chairperson Dugan. In partnership with Mass Association of School Committees, you both and the members around the table worked hard and ultimately brought us down to a policy manual that looks much more like policy than procedure, and ultimately brought us from close to 400 quote-unquote policies to about 275 or so nowadays. There's not much that slipped through the cracks. However, we did find one thing, and so since I was here anyway, thought I would invite the committee to deal with that. Policy IHBG is the homeschool policy. There is no proposal to change that here. Tagged on to IHBG were a number of procedural policies that were revoked through the mask process, but one of them I discovered recently wasn't, and that is IHGB-R, and it is the processes and the steps and the procedure, not at all policy, the mechanics of requesting homeschooling. It's not necessary as it's procedure, not policy, and since I was here anyway, thought that I would just quickly let the committee know that that exists and invite you to do a potential motion to revoke IHGB-R as a cleanup matter.
Questions or comments on that one? Ready? All right, seeing none, we need a motion.
I'll make the motion to revoke policy IHBG-R and move that to the full committee.
Second. Roll call, please.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Reed?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then our third order of business is a proposed revision to policy IKF, which is our graduation requirement.
Bless you.
Attorney Gallo is also going to walk us through that one. So Attorney Gallo.
Thank you, Chairperson Dugan. Back on October 9th, I sat in this seat, and you did a few things on that night. We reviewed together the MassCore framework. MassCore is recommendations for graduation to ensure a certain level of rigor in Massachusetts. We reviewed DESE's summertime, July 2025 competency determination guidance. That is, how do the graduation suggestions in MassCore marry with post-MCAS competency determination? How do we ensure, since there's no more statewide standardized test as a graduation requirement, that students have mastered the skills and are competent in the skills that they need to be? So you voted to revise LPS policy IKF and to adopt a new policy IKFE. That's what happened on October 9th. I want to just refresh also on the MassCore framework and DESE provision around science. The MassCore framework is 3 units of lab-based science. The DESE provision for competency determination is 1 year of any of the following: bio, physics, chemistry, or technology and engineering. And so what IKF could have said was, that we have 3 years of lab-based science, technology, and engineering that must include the equivalent of 1 year of any of the following: biophysics, chem, or technology and engineering, and may include computer science that aligns to the digital literacy standards. That's what IKF could have said. Instead, the IKF that was put before you on 10-9 included a rigor requirement over and above, and that requirement was that 2 of the 3 years include bio and chem. All right. On October 9th, I outlined that there were only a couple substantive changes to the existing graduation requirements policy. One was the introduction for class of 2027 that U.S. history and world history must both be taken. That's a DESE requirement. It's not optional. Another change was grandfathering 1 year of the arts based on feedback that if we required the arts out of the gate, that was tough for especially upperclassmen to fit in at this time. And I told you that for reasons of rigor, we were recommending both bio and chem be included over and above CD, over and above Mass Core. Essentially, the way that this played out is that there was a large team that worked on this process. At the end of that process, towards the end, that suggestion came from the former superintendent. We checked in with special education at that time because we wanted to be sure we were not setting the standard so high that certain IEP students could not meet it. Special education told us that as long as there's an exception for applied chemistry, we're okay with it, and we put forward that policy proposal to you, and you adopted it on October 9th. I'm coming tonight with some humility to ask to dial back to what it could have been, and the reason is this. After October 9th, we got right to work, and that provision became immediately problematic because as it now stands, there are non-IEP students who don't take chemistry. Chemistry is heavy for math, and so you might be a gen ed kid, and this may be a barrier to your graduation. This provision will impact their ability to graduate. The Mass Core recommendation is 3 years of lab-based science. The DESE CD requirement is 1 of 3 years to be bio or chem or physics or technology or engineering. Notwithstanding the prior superintendent's recommendation as to rigor, Mass Core is intended to be rigorous. This is over and above Mass Core, over and above DESE CD, over and above the Mass Association of School Committees models, and unlike we have more recently discovered other similar and nearby districts, Worcester, Lawrence, and Swampscott have language like I'm suggesting we dial back to now. The only district I could find that had such specificity as to a particular science course was Salem, and their standard was not even as high as ours. Theirs was bio only. Ours is bio and chem. So this is, I would suggest to you, beyond sort of a reasonable rigor requirement, and so I have a proposed motion for you to dial back a little bit on that. I do want to update you on next steps with the statewide graduation council if I could, but I'll pause if there are any votes on the, any questions on the science aspect before I do that, and I do have a proposed motion prepared for you if the board is in agreement.
Okay. Any questions from the committee as to what was just presented? Okay. Sounds like we're good.
So the amended IKF, if you vote that way tonight, will be submitted to DESE. Unless DESE, for some reason, were to reject or request suggestions. I told you on October 9th I would be back at this table. I think I know when I'll be back at this table now because there was a BESE meeting, the state school committee essentially, last week. And at the BESE meeting, Secretary Tutwiler stated that there will be a final recommendation at the state level that will come out, or that is due, was his word, in June of this year. And so here's what I expect if I had a crystal ball. June, a final recommendation, a summertime regulation change, and then I'm probably back here over the summer with the new graduation requirements policy, and I'll give you a preview of what I think based on I've been paying close attention to state level things and what I think is going to happen. I think Mass Core is going to become more flexible with different pathways and different alternatives for individual students. But I also think there are going to be additional requirements that are new and that make sense, frankly. There may be a civics requirement. There may be a financial literacy requirement. Those things may be new in Mass Core. There may be within Mass Core not just a focus on classes and curriculum, but also career readiness and college readiness provisions around FAFSA and MAFSA and MyCap. While there will not be MCAS per se, the initial draft says that there will be end-of-course assessments that are, quote, designed, administered, and scored by the state, promoting a uniform standard across Massachusetts. And so what that says to me is that CD, competency determination, may become a moot point, and that we may move to a statewide final exam, essentially, in each course. In addition to that, there is talk about districts being allowed to have their own capstone or portfolio projects so that there's some middle ground between what we have now, which is somewhat chaotic statewide, and MCAS. So that's what's happening now. That being said, back to the real reason we're here and the potential amendment, I have on your screen a potential amendment to dial back science a little bit in the way that we've talked about, but I'm happy to answer any questions first, either about science or about the statewide graduation stuff that is very current and I'm paying close attention to.
Any questions about that? Yeah, Member Castellanos.
Thank you, Attorney Gallo. Could you, so the trends that you're seeing, is there any way to get that information to us? It'd be nice to have that, or even the sources of where you're looking, because it'd be nice to kind of keep an eye on. I would like to progress monitor that, because I'm hearing so many different things in the pipeline, and it's overwhelming. So it'd be nice to have your skill set to shift through where I should be looking, or all of us honestly should be looking.
Yeah. So I appreciate the thoughtful suggestion and question, Member Castellanos. I joked to Superintendent Cohen earlier today that on this topic, I'm a little bit crazy right now. I had the Bessie meeting while I was working going on in the background and listening to it. And so there's that kind of thing happening. But there was something called a draft preliminary recommendation that came out. It was about a 1.5 pager that I will forward, if I may, through Mary Jules to the committee so that you have that. I believe there's going to be another preliminary recommendation that comes out in early November in writing, and I'll keep an eye out for that and do the same. And then I don't know what will come out after that, but sometime in June, so I will be happy to do that.
Well, I appreciate that. Just keep us in the loop so we're prepared for that too, because it'd be nice to be as proactive as possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments for Attorney Gallo? Okay.
And so I've prepared to help, with the potential amendment if the committee does wish to consider going back to alignment with Mass Core and with the state regulations, that this would be a potential amendment to the graduation requirements policy, IKF, to strike the existing 3 bullet points under the equivalent of 3 years of science, technology, and engineering, and replace with the 2 bullet points that you see on the screen. And so I've prepared that should a committee member wish to move in that direction.
Do I gotta read that whole thing, or is it? Can I just, all right, fine. I was being serious. Make a motion to move this amendment regarding the graduation policy IKF to the full committee, strike the existing 3 bullet points under the equivalent of 3 years of lab-based science, technology, and/or engineering, and replace with the following 2 bullet points. Must include the equivalent of 1 year of the following to be taken in grades 9 to 12, biology, physics, chemistry, or technology-engineering. May include the equivalent of 1 year of computer science that includes rigorous scientific concepts and aligns with digital literacy and computer science standards for a laboratory science course as determined by the Lynn Public Schools.
So moved.
Good reading.
Second. Roll call, please.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Reed?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
All right. All right, and then finally, as discussion regarding United States visas and what's changed at the federal level there, because lots has changed, which is gonna affect what's going on in Lynn as well, so. Gallo, again, as you so very wisely do, if you could guide us through this one.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Dugan. So on June 12th, there was a school committee vote to refer future use of visas to the policy subcommittee, which is why we are here tonight. I have to tell you that when this was assigned to me sometime after that vote, I had to do some learning on my own. I didn't know a great deal about this topic, and I don't presume folks around the table may or may not either. And so I wanted to share with you what H-1B visas are. They are temporary non-immigrant visas. By temporary, we mean there's a 3-year at the outset visa period, and you can renew once for a total of 6 years. The intent of these visas is to bring highly educated foreign professionals to work in areas in the United States where we may not have those highly trained professionals. They have to be in a specialty occupation, and there's no exhaustive list, but I've put on the slide for you some common ones that we see, and within that you can see professors and teachers are there. So that's a little bit about what an H-1B visa is. There's a cap on the number of them. So there are 65,000 per year total for applicants who have a bachelor's degree, plus another 20,000 on top of that for applicants who have a master's degree. There are some interesting provisions along with them. If the H-1B visa employment is terminated for any reason, the employer has to provide reasonable costs, expenses to return that individual to their country. That's not new, but just to point it out. And as I mentioned, this is a max 6-year deal. For each of these, there's a registration. There is a minimal fee of a few $100s initially for that registration, but then beyond that, there is a fee that has increased recently, and I'm going to talk about that. On September 19th in 2025, there was a proclamation from President Trump, which said that applications for new visas needed to be accompanied by a payment of $100,000, and I am quoting that, a payment of $100,000 on top of the application fee of a few $100s. That is for new visas, not renewals, but that is for new visas. Okay. This is just a headline, and there are many that you could find, but basically that fee is making new visas unaffordable in many sectors, certainly public education and public sectors, and I would venture to guess that outside of the tech sector, in most places, going to be unaffordable. But there is some guidance that came out from the Department of Homeland Security in the past couple of weeks, which says that this new fee is not applicable for existing visa holders. So this is prospective new. And under the presidential order, it's going to last for the next year, and then there'll be a decision in a year as to whether he's going to renew that or not. Maybe it'll be $200,000, maybe it'll be $200, we don't know. But that's the lay of the land right now. In addition to what I'm going to call filing fees, there is preparation fee, just so you know, on this. This is the fee schedule of the entity that we have used to prepare these as of 2024. I don't know if they may update it, but essentially it's a $2,300 base plus various other fees on top of that that get us close to $5,000. And then if we need to expedite for any reason, we get closer to $9,000 total. So you have that fee schedule in your materials. I did some initial policy research, and the initial policy research was that there's not a mask model policy on this. Similar and nearby districts is what I usually look at, as you know, for my presentations. And so these are similar and nearby districts that we looked at sort of randomly on this. None of them have a codified policy on this. And so I didn't come tonight with a prepared policy. Instead, I wanted to do some information sharing, give you something to think about, and would suggest that if you did want to do a policy on this, because it would be one that we would do from scratch, we would really need to be careful in terms of the labor piece, and I've talked to Attorney Greenspan about this, in terms of the immigration piece, in terms of collaborating with our friends in the LTU, in terms of ensuring that we're not stuck in a place where we're obligated to apply for a visa if the cap has already been met, or if for some other reason, perhaps finances, we can't afford to do so. And so that is what I have for you on this subject. Uncharacteristically, I don't have a proposed policy for you on this so much as just food for thought, and happy to answer any questions that you have.
Member Reed.
Thank you, Attorney Gallo, for that. Just trying to understand the previously issued visas. So how long is a visa for? It's 1 year?
So it's initial is 3 year.
Okay.
You can do one renewal for another 3 years, so max 6.
So if somebody, like we renewed it last year, they're still good for another 2 years without any consequences?
Correct. And under the current guidance, we could renew, and there was a vote to renew a couple.
Yes.
That those are not subject to that higher fee. This is prospective.
So any new person is this six-figure amount?
Correct.
Okay, I think I had one more question, sorry. All right, I'm good, thank you. Yeah. Member Dugan.
Thank you. So I guess, would it be beneficial for us, Attorney Gallo, to maybe kind of look at this as a case-by-case type of thing? Is that what you're sort of suggesting to us?
So that's what other districts, in the absence of a policy, would be doing. And that would allow you to consider the particular needs of the district at that time, the cost at the time, which we're seeing fluctuate, and also whether the cap has been met, for example. That 65,000 visa cap has been met, for example, for this year. So you wouldn't want a policy that said you had to do this. If the cap were met, it would need to be really carefully written. So I don't have a recommendation one way or another, so much as wanted to you to know all of the things at play here, and perhaps sleep on it.
Yeah, Member Reed.
Yeah, if I'm recalling correctly, I think a lot of us thought it would have made sense to have a policy, right? I'm trying to read that, 'cause I think we were all gonna try to have like a specific threshold. But obviously, doesn't seem like that's the right move right now, so, yeah.
And if I could just reply to that, and in fairness to members of the community who spoke up that night, and members of the school committee that night, that the lay of the land is significantly different today than it was at that time.
Sure.
So.
Absolutely, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? All right. Seeing no other questions or comments, and also noting that as our last order of business, for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second, roll call, please.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Reed?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
Okay, adjourned.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Halloween. Go.
Something dropped.
opportunity for citizens to express their views on matters of concern to the school committee. The sessions are not designed to encourage debate or lengthy exchange of views, but are to have the committee understand numerous points of view. The committee would appreciate speakers keeping their presentation to 3 minutes. In order to accommodate as many people as time permits, the chair reserves the right to limit the number of speakers on the same topic to 3. All speakers must be at least 18 years of age or enrolled in high school in Lynn Public Schools District and having discussed their views with a student government representative. The chair reserves the right to rule the speaker out of order if they feel that the speaker's comments are personal in nature. If a speaker's comments are directed at a school committee member or a member of school administration in attendance, that member, through the chair, may address the individual. Is there anybody here for open mic? Anyone for open mic? Last call for open mic, and we will close the open mic session and call to order the 16th regular meeting of the school committee. Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Present.
Member Dugan?
Present.
Member Gately?
Present.
Member Pena? Absent. Member Reed?
Present.
Member Satterwhite?
Present.
Mayor Nicholson?
Present. For those who are able, please rise for a salute to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence. Please remain standing in memory of Marie Malaya, former nurse, passed away October 13th, 2025. Thank you. Next item is the minutes.
Motion to accept the policy subcommittee on October 9th, 2025. A motion to accept the curriculum subcommittee on October 9th, 2025. The 15th regular meeting on October 9th, 2025, and the first special meeting on October 16th, 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's have it. Member Dugan, any subcommittee votes?
Yes, so we have, we'll have to take them in order. There are 3 that we'll need to vote on. The first is the middle school pathway exploration policy, and the heading is IHAIA. So we need to vote on that.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena? Absent. Member Reed?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
Mayor Nicholson?
Yes.
Okay, and then the next thing we had was a proposed revocation of IHBG-R, which is part of our homeschooling policy that seemed a little more procedural than policy.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena? Absent. Member Reed?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
Mayor Nicholson?
Yes.
All right, then finally, we had a proposed revision to our graduation requirements, policy IKF. So we need to vote on that.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena? Absent. Member Reed?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite?
Yes.
Mayor Nicholson?
Yes. Next, we have presentations, teacher evaluation.
Thank you. Good evening, school committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to share some information about the evaluation cycle and some updates for this school year. I'd like to publicly thank Deb Morrell, Director of Educator Quality in the Human Resource Department, who worked with me to create this presentation. So we have 2 objectives for tonight for this presentation. First, I would like to provide you with an overview of the educator evaluation system, and secondly, an overview of the changes for the 25-26 school year for both teachers and paraprofessionals. This is a graphic from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and as you can see, this is a 5-step cycle, and the overall goal of this entire evaluation process is for it to be collaborative and to have a focus on continued learning. Each educator is an active participant in this process. Step 1 is a self-assessment where teachers review student data, and an assessment against the practice where they judge themselves with regard to performance against the standards. Then they create goals which are aligned to the district goals. They implement a plan, an action plan, in order to try to meet those goals. Midway through the cycle, we formatively assess how it's going, and then we complete a summative assessment. This has been the process since 2012 in the district. So some updates for tonight. With the new Lynn Teacher Union contract and negotiations last spring, changes were made in the following areas. There were alterations to the timeline when teachers complete each step in the process. A new rubric was adopted that was created by DESE in 2024. We collaborated with LTU to identify new priority elements to focus on, which I'll go through. And one of the requirements was that all staff must be trained in this new evaluation process, and that includes administrators, teachers, paraprofessionals. So a team worked to update the evaluation PowerPoint training that was presented to all educators in the fall. Like I said, this is the new timeline where dates were altered based on feedback from the committee members. So the first step was that training for teachers that was completed by October 15th. And then the next step in the process is that self-assessment and goal-setting process that I talked about, which is due November 1st. So a lot of teachers are working on that right now. This is a link to the, in a screenshot of the classroom teacher rubric at a glance. So we were using the 2025 rubric, and again, this one was adopted by DESE in 2024, and then by us this year. This is a little bit of a shift for evaluators and educators. We still have the same 4 standards: curriculum planning and assessment, teaching all students, family and community engagement, and professional culture. Those did not change, but some of the indicators and elements under the standards did change. This is an example of one of the indicators under Standard 1, 1A, which is curriculum and planning. And under this one indicator, there are 3 different elements: subject matter knowledge, knowledge of students, and curriculum literacy. This is just a sample. So the committee who met on the evaluation process consisted of teachers, Lynn Teachers Union members, teachers and paras, principals, central office staff. They came together and came to a consensus on 7 priority indicators. There are 2 elements under Standard 1, curriculum planning and assessment, 2 under Standard 2, teaching all students, 1 under Standard 3, which is family engagement, and 2 under professional culture. So this is our first priority element. This is curriculum literacy. This is one that we landed on in Standard 1. Sorry about that. I use the description for proficiency. I use the language of proficiency from the rubric for all of the priority elements. With administrators in the new training that Deb Morell facilitates, they created student and teacher look-fors with regard to each of the priority elements, and that is shown on that chart paper on this slide. The second priority element is adjustment to practice, where teachers really utilize data to adjust, and inform their practice to support students. In a recent principal meeting, we started brainstorming evidence teachers could submit for their summative or formative evaluation. So that's what's listed on that chart paper right there. Our third priority element is inclusive instruction. So we are supporting teachers in this work through professional development opportunities such as QTEL, quality teaching for English learners, IEP classes, and this really focuses around MTSS. Our next element is collaborative learning, where students are interacting with one another in the classroom. This is a picture of some of our Skills USA students with the commissioner, Pedro Martinez, and some of you were able to be at that visit as well at LVTI earlier this month. Next priority element under Standard 3 is collaboration on student learning and well-being. Previously, our old element was two-way communication with families. This is more all-encompassing and speaks to the to what you will hear in Superintendent Cohen's plan for a family and student engagement task force to create a FACE plan. Our next element in Standard 4 is a reflection and growth. Although hard to read, this is a screenshot of current PD offerings that we have in LPS right now. And our final element is professional responsibilities, which really, I believe, speaks for itself. And I did talk about a new paraprofessional evaluation tool as well. This is a shift from our old tool and focuses on job performance, interpersonal relationships with students and staff, and professional responsibilities. All paras have been trained in this new tool, and again, this was a collaborative effort with that committee that I mentioned in the spring. And finally, we've revamped, as I said, our training for educators to align the new model DESE rubric and the Lynn Public Schools updated timeline. So all teachers in all buildings received this training prior to October 15th. Questions? I know that was a lot of information.
Member Dugan, Member Reed.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent Loof. That was very thorough. Just a couple clarifying questions. So in priority standard under curriculum literacy, it mentions the teacher's use of supplemental resources. You know, I'm assuming for tier 2 instruction, or so. Are those things that the teachers are just asked to get them to tell? Like, where do those come from? Those supplemental resources?
So we have a bank of resources. There are different resources, like, for example, in illustrative math, there's supplemental resources that they have. But we're highlighting those too in our MTSS process with our tier 2 resources and our tier 3 resources and supports as well.
Thank you. And then under inclusive instruction, so if you were in a walkthrough, what would you be looking for, like, for teachers to have posted with, like, language goals, content goals, things of that nature? So that just kind of caught my attention. I was looking through it earlier.
So we actually did some of that work, like I said, with the principals.
Okay.
So providing examples of the supports that they're using. So potentially we might see use of assistive technology with a special education student. We might see some scaffold instructional materials, such as like a graphic organizer for one of our multilingual learners. We might see choice or menu boards, like UDL type of things, student-created projects, rubrics, different exit tickets, things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Member Reed, Member Gately.
Thank you for the presentation, very helpful. It might be a little out of the scope of this exact presentation, but I know with some of the restructuring of department heads that happened in the budget, there were some talks about how to more efficiently manage caseloads of evaluators themselves. Have we changed anything on that regard, or are we thinking about it, or?
So we did adopt some different language with regard to evaluators at the district level as well. So having some of our assistant directors of curriculum and instruction potentially help out with some of the observations that have to be completed with our teachers. Yeah.
So I think traditionally it's been sort of that department head has observed a lot of those people. I remember having a conversation with the previous deputies, and they said they were thinking about sort of having department heads or assistant curriculum directors observing across different subject content areas. Is that the case, or do we know? No?
No, that's not the case.
Okay.
They still are content focused.
Okay.
Given the lower enrollment this fall, the department heads have been able to free up and support new teachers in the classrooms, but it is something that we're going to be looking at in terms of going forward for next year, what the org will look like.
Yeah, I think these conversations might have been happening when we thought the picture was a little more bleak at the time too. So I don't, but thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Member Gately.
I'm just wondering, the beginning of the year, I vaguely remember something about math resources were not available for teachers. How is that going to impact them in this evaluation process? And are they now able to have all the resources that they need to be able to implement the curriculums? I mean, where are we with that? Because there was a loss. I just heard a lot about no math stuff, none of this, none of that, so.
There was a delay,
Okay,
but
delay.
they're back, yeah. So that order had already come out. You know, they put it in and it's already underway, but there was a delay.
So will that affect their evaluation?
No, teachers would not be, the evaluation is about the practice of the
Yes.
teacher, right? So our job is to support teachers in the work that they do. Yeah.
So your job, it would be.
Our job is to support a teacher in creating resources if resources aren't there, but they wouldn't be penalized for resources not being there.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's very good clarifying.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Oh,
and for
thank
the
you.
update.
Thank you.
Great. Next, we have a field trip request. What's the recommendation of the superintendent?
Yes, we absolutely recommend that the LVTI robotics competition occur in Alton, New Hampshire.
Great.
So moved?
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we need to appoint Molly Cohen to the North Shore Education Consortium for this year. Is there a motion?
So
Motion.
moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena? Absent. Member Reed?
Yes.
Member Sadowite?
Yes.
Mayor Nicholson?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Next, we are canceling the school committee meetings that would fall on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we are proposing to reschedule the 19th regular meeting on December 11th in order to, and then meet instead on December 18th.
So moved.
Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena? Absent. Member Reed?
Yes.
Member Sadowite?
Yes.
Mayor Nicholson?
Yes. Next, we have the superintendent's entry plan.
Okay. See the mirror? Right now? Oh, you just moved me. That's okay.
State House, so many options. Sucks. Always so high when you're in our world. Just did. Start to you for 20 minutes. Well, the chairman speaks up. My New Year's, aside from Saturday. Set boundaries. Like, I'm gonna work. It's so hot. Let's walk around. We should do a baby walk. We'll meet a pocket. I can walk that. Just go down the weather. Yeah, I do the strand. I know. Do like opposite, but that's too cold now. I know. The brain particles moving there, not gonna process and unwinding things. Very solid, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna make up all this time.
I could imagine that. No, I would love to.
Great.
I just have to, oh, you want it?
Yeah, do you mind? I need some minutes.
We got awkward.
I think basketball's a little harder too.
I know it is.
Football,
Well, you can do it, you could do it.
Boys were nicer than me.
Yeah.
Had them all rallied. Everyone was,
Sorry, Howard.
they had me in there like I was like, okay.
I was gonna do the. I mean, you can't really make it up.
Yeah, no, that's a whole different animal. Ballpark, right? It's a whole different experience, right? It's like all new stadium, right? New car, new features. Like I'm not. Wow. This is comfortable. Ride's nice. I try to do coffee with candidates, but no one shows up. They show a couple.
We'll have coffee sometime.
Always friends and family, though. You know? I get phone calls after. So I couldn't make it to your coffee, but I wanted to talk to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I am going to go at double speed to make up for some lost time there. I'm very excited to be here and share my entry plans. So, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, school committee members. Thank you to my colleagues and to my principals out there, my teachers, my families, my students. I'm very excited to discuss this entry plan. This is a living document, and I am looking for feedback. So tonight, it is all about providing the expectations. To create a sense of security during a time of transition, I want to share what the overview of this year can look like. Building a supportive community is at the center of what we do. The focus areas are derived from the district strategic plan and rooted in our core values: inclusivity, shared responsibility, collaborative relationships, high expectations, and inspiring lifelong learning. A stable system encompasses these pillars. As you'll recall, belonging and instruction are two of our priority areas, which are supported by healthy, authentic relationships with everyone in the system. The purpose of this entry plan is to present to you my commitment to continue the great work that we have started in building trusting partnerships by soliciting feedback and incorporating all voices in strengthening instruction. Over the next few months, I will continue to strengthen classroom instruction and build those relationships as I'm listening from all of our stakeholders in the system. Change takes time, and I ask for grace and patience as I listen first, learn from everyone, and lead our district to greater achievement. As a former instructor of English as a foreign language and English as a second language, my philosophy has always been that excellent instruction is the social justice strategy. Our first district strategic plan priority area is strengthening the instructional core with culturally and linguistically responsive practices. These goals have not changed. We are fully committed to increasing the percentage of multilingual learners making progress toward English language proficiency, inclusive classes for students with diverse abilities, student belonging, and the percentage of diverse educators. Stability is determined by those who live in the system. When staff are supported, when families are engaged, when communication is predictable, then people feel secure. Much like Richard Elmore's instructional core, with the teacher, student, and content rotating around the instructional task, so too do staff support, family engagement, and clear communication contribute to school stability. There are two phases to this plan. The first, and perhaps the most important, is listening and learning. In a new role, and one as impactful as superintendent, it will be imperative that I fully listen to understand. Yes, I am in the system and very familiar with the Lynn Public Schools. However, that can lead to biases and blind spots. My job now is to see and hear with a new set of eyes and ears. During this listening tour, I am looking at how well the system practices 4 key areas: feedback, progress monitoring, alignment of professional development, and celebration of innovative approaches. I am deeply committed to prioritizing my time in schools to walk with principals, leveraging our district Look For tool as a means of calibrating how we discuss instructional excellence across the system. Quick, actionable steps to building relationships with staff are to intently listen, anonymously query, and celebrate successes as we see them. Given the strengths and talents of our principals, directors, and teachers, I feel fully prepared to deliver on the district strategic plan's goals. To include more leadership opportunities, I plan to meet with existing cabinets while establishing a principals cabinet where we analyze data and strengthen culturally and linguistically affirming practices. Another area where I can quickly operationalize work that is already underway is to establish and convene a family and community council. Together, we will host conversations and partner with teams doing this important work. What's most important in this endeavor is that we ensure our plans are convenient, accessible, and meaningful to participants. Phase 2 is when we put into action what we learned. This work involves a full team effort on all our parts to actualize the plan. Ideas for establishing voice and involvement: I plan to publish a transparent report sharing the feedback we received, create a staff advisory council to discuss systems decisions, open dialogue about instruction, and add to the human resources calendar with highlights of instructional strengths and successes. Belonging has been a priority in our district and has never been as important as it is now. It will continue to be central to the stabilization of our district. To do so, we will leverage our restorative practices, build staff representation, and recognize excellent practices. Our strategy in Lynn Public Schools has been school-based family engagement, And this is a robust strategy, given the strong leadership of our principals and the schools as central community hubs in our neighborhoods. I would like to partner with our members in the field to build a comprehensive district family community engagement plan that supports and celebrates the important work already underway. To reach our ambitious instructional goals, we need to work together with families and community partners around decreasing our chronic absenteeism and providing cohesive learning models that extend beyond the school day. Schools can't do this work alone. In order to continue to make our work transparent, we will continue to publish the monthly superintendent's newsletter, has a new look tomorrow, and provide quarterly school committee reports about our progress toward our goals. We will regularly track these priorities to improve our outcomes. This week, we wrap up National Principals Month, and I'd like to personally thank all of our principals and principal directors who are truly the heart of the system. Thank you. I'm afraid to give you a sneak peek, but maybe I should, I don't know. I'm gonna only leave that up for a hot minute. At some point, I know we have to talk about goals and goals for me and how you'll evaluate me, but let's go back to those principles. Celebrate them instead. But I look forward to your questions, because the idea of this, the idea of this plan is really to gather and then curate all the ideas of all of our members. And so I have shared this plan, and you have a copy of the plan and this presentation with members in our community and already received feedback. So this is like the 4th version of this entry plan. But I do think that we commit to action steps so that there is some predictability in moving forward. So really the feedback is more, how do we do the work? So I'm open.
Yeah, that's great. I'll just add that very helpful, very excited for this, and I'm sure I speak for the whole committee when I say we're happy to support as you run through this entry process if you have questions or requests of us. And then, you know, for the committee, obviously, we know how quickly these cycles move in terms of the evaluation cycles, and also just how quickly time goes in terms of the contracts and so on and so forth. So we're going to be needing to making decisions as a district very, very soon. In the grand scheme of things, it's gonna go by quickly. So if there's things that you want to see in order to make those decisions, now is a good time to share that feedback with the superintendent, either tonight or and I'm sure you'd be happy to hear from folks directly in the coming weeks as you're implementing this entry plan. So yeah. Member Dugan.
Yeah, I mean, I just, from talking to a lot of staff members, there's just a buzz about what's happening already, so I commend you on that. I also really like that the morale is an important part of what you're doing. You know, just speaking from a teacher's perspective, when people are feeling respected and happy at work, the students are going to benefit from that as well, which ultimately is our goal. So I think that's all moving in the right direction, and you know, so I just want to commend you on that too. So not so much questions, but you know, we'll digest this a bit, and I'm sure I'll have some eventually, but so far it looks so good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Superintendent's report?
Yep, superintendent's report
Okay,
next.
here
Yep.
we are. Thank you. I want to extend my gratitude for the warm welcome I have received during this transition. No matter the circumstances, Lynn Public Schools remains focused on our collective commitment to fostering an inclusive and equitable learning environment for every student. Diversity and multilingualism are our superpowers, leveraged in our classrooms where equitable access to rigorous learning creates the conditions for our students to thrive. Excellent instruction is our social justice strategy and equity commitment. This year, the district is making visible culturally and linguistically responsive practices and adopting policies that remove barriers for our students. During this transition period, I will look to build partnerships with families and community organizations to better coordinate our efforts in meeting our students' needs. By working together, we can live our vision of, quote, supporting the intellectual, vocational, academic, and social emotional success for all students. We create equitable conditions for all students to thrive in a global society. Change can be challenging and lead to feelings of uneasiness. I am committed to stabilizing the district by inspiring and encouraging us all to lean into our core values. And I continue to repeat them because this is truly what we need to do in times of transition. Our core values: inclusiveness, shared responsibility, collaborative relationships, high expectations, inspiring lifelong learning. These values will guide us in our collaboration to make important decisions in the best interest of our students and staff. We stand united in our commitment to the following: a core belief that all students can achieve mastery of grade level tasks, a clear instructional vision codified in our district strategic plan, and the conviction that every decision we make must advance equity and excellence. Our instructional priorities are anchored in the 5 intended impacts for the district strategic plan, 24 to 29, and we are committed to the following outcomes. LPS students will possess the academic skills to be globally competitive by meeting and exceeding grade level expectations in reading, math, science, and social studies. LPS students will possess the communication, biliteracy, multilingualism, and social emotional skills to be globally competitive. LPS students will have access to and experience success in a wide range of advanced coursework that prepares them to navigate a rapidly changing world. LPS students, families, and staff will experience the district and their schools as places of inclusion and belonging. LPS will close equity gaps in access and achievement for students who are today furthest from opportunity. That was created during the district strategic plan phase, where all stakeholders had voice in creating that, and we are committed to that. October is a busy month with many events. I have included in the department updates, but I'd like to note a few here. Commissioner Pedro Martinez visited LVTI and was impressed with the level of conversation the students initiated in describing their passion for vocational studies. We expanded PSAT testing to include 8th grade students, providing the necessary preparation for a college entrance exam. Congratulations to our students who displayed their musical and dance abilities and those who received recognition at the Hispanic Heritage Celebration at City Hall last week, and we have a dancer here tonight. Did terrific. Our fall school sport teams are experiencing success, highlighted by the classical volleyball team that finished with an 18-2 regular season record, the best in school history, and the LVTI volleyball team had a terrific 16-3 record. Both teams are hosting the MIAA state tournament matches tonight, and I ran over there at, oh, wait a second, news in, Tech won.
Oh.
Yeah, they just won, so that's really exciting. All right, real news break. Okay, with all the uncertainty surrounding SNAP benefits, we have communicated through our social media channels a list of resources available to anyone in the community who may be faced with food insecurity. We encourage all LPS families and staff to take advantage of these resources if they can be helpful. With November upon us, I would be remiss if I didn't remind us of our civic duty to get out and vote on November 4th. I'd also like to thank Julie Carroll, the Director of Music, the LEHS ROTC, and all of our talented students who honor our veterans by performing at the various Veterans Day performances in and around our city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Seeing no further business,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.